So today I am joined with long-time training partner and friend Shay, the Fridge Ingram. So thanks for sitting down and having a chat with me today, Shay. And I wanted to start with, you have this kind of title of one of the UK's biggest up-and-coming prospects. You went undefeated as an amateur. You've been involved in MMA since 6 years old. You're 20 years old now, and you are undefeated as pro, but only had one fight. But you're a huge prospect in Cage Warriors. And my first question is, do you find that puts any pressure on you? If it does, why? If it doesn't, why?
Well, yeah, it does. There's a lot of pressure that kind of does come on me. I mean, I've got a whole city that puts a lot of pressure on me, saying I'm going to win all the time. And being the only kid from Worcester to really be pushing MMA, it does give me a lot of pressure. I feel like there's a lot of kids under me looking up saying, oh, I could take this route, Shay can take this route. So yeah, I feel like I've got a lot of pressure, and a lot of fighters will say, no, the pressure don't bother me, but every single fight for 8 weeks beforehand, I'm severely nervous. I'll give you the truth there, that's how it is.
And how do you deal with that pressure? What do you implement into your life, your training, to help cope with that pressure?
I just
gaming.
Gaming. I just train hard, do as much as I can, not cut any corners. I feel like whatever the outcome, if I know I've done everything I can throughout camp, tried my hardest, pushed myself to my limits, what can I be ashamed of? I'll be proud of myself no matter the outcome.
Yeah, you've given yourself your 100% the best chance. I get that. I respect that. You said they're inspiring, younger generation, kids from your area, kids in the gym, and we see that, me as an experienced fighter, a veteran, if you will, it's inspiring. My teammates inspire me. So if you was a young boy or girl getting into martial arts now, what would you advise them to do training-wise? If you had to give them 3 top tips, what would they be?
Just for one, get in the gym. I mean, that's the hardest thing. Some days I wake up thinking, don't want to go train. I could go out with my mates. I could do this, do that. But you just got to get up and go. You got to try your best and just make sure you enjoy it. That's the main thing. If you don't enjoy something, why would you still do it? Just make sure you're enjoying what you do. I really love what I do. I love to get up in the morning, train with the best guys in the world, go have a fight. If I didn't enjoy that, I wouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, no, that's bang on, mate. That's the kind of advice I try and give my son. I think when you apply yourself fully and you try your best at something, the result at the end, obviously we want to win, that competitive side of us wants us to win, but you can also live with knowing that you've given it your best. So so 3 top tips from the prospect himself: get in the gym, try your best, and make sure you enjoy it and it's fun. So when you started MMA, I know you did solo disciplines as a youth, but when you started MMA, what got you into MMA, and what got you noticed by Leon? Leon Edwards, the former champ, soon to be champ again, hopefully one day soon. He recognised early on in you that you had potential and a talent. How did that happen? Tell us a bit about that.
Well, I did start going to UTC around 2017. I worked with a lad called Daz doing PTs, and one day I turned up and he told me I was going to do a sparring session. So I was doing a sparring session. I didn't have many people cornering me, just Daz, but Leon came over to watch and he started cornering me, and then after my session he said, you're really good, make sure you keep up. So that's where Leon that's where we first met really. I'd never met him beforehand.
Oh, that's good. You don't need any more added motivation than having someone like Leon say that to you. That's brilliant. Yeah. So touching there on solo disciplines and then eventually ending up doing training full MMA, advice to younger fighters or even older fighters, somebody who's starting MMA, do you think it's better to start with a solo discipline or to start with MMA? This is something I've kind of gone both ways with. I think there's pros and cons to both, but being the prospect that you are and the potential bright future you have in MMA, what would you advise somebody getting into MMA?
I think nowadays, you have to go down the MMA route. You need to make sure that, when I started off kickboxing. And that was the single thing I did. Then I moved into BJJ, then I moved into MMA. Whereas now, you've got everything on the front doorstep, really. You go to an MMA gym, you're doing MMA striking, MMA wrestling, MMA jiu-jitsu. So I think now it's go straight into MMA, make sure you're working your MMA game.
So if you're a big fan of MMA and you've finally plucked up the courage to walk into a team like Team Renegade, which is full of high class, high level, high profile fighters, one, can that be a bit daunting? And if so, how can you sell it to that young kid that wants to come in and walk into a gym and join? And what can you tell them about your experience from doing it yourself?
Well, the first thing I'll say is these people have made the same walk as you. They've walked into a gym, a well-established gym, seen world-class fighters and thought the same thing as you. But you just got to leave that at the door. On the mats, you're all the same person. Yeah, someone might be better than you, but they've put the work in, so that's all you've got to do.
Yeah, I'd agree totally. I think ultimately we are just all human, and there can be a bit of a misconception of, oh God, he's unapproachable, or oh, he's this big bad fighter. But I don't know about your experience, but for me personally, in the thousands of people I've met in martial arts world, there might be one or two where I've thought, oh, okay, you're a bit of a knob. But generally, everybody's sound, isn't they? And if you are a knob when you first join, you quickly change to be a much better person, because there's no better place to get humbled than on a martial arts mat.
100%. Or you get kicked out. Yeah. That's your one or two ways. You're either become a nice person or you're off out the door.
Yeah. Going undefeated as amateur and now pro, what would you put that success down to for yourself?
I feel like all my coaches, 100%. I mean, if it weren't for them, my coaches, my teammates, I wouldn't be where I am right now. I mean, they taught me everything, and then my teammates taught me up. So thankfully, I've got a reputation of being one of the best fighters coming up in England. But just also staying disciplined. I mean, for the past, since I was about 13, day in, day out, I've been in the gym, or I've been out running if I'm at home, just staying disciplined.
You say you're one of the only kind of up-and-coming prospects and kind of fighters from out of Worcester. What do you put that down to? Worcester being less than 30 minutes away drive from Birmingham City Centre, where right now Birmingham MMA is on fire. Well,
that's the thing. It's Birmingham MMA. You go to Worcester and there's multiple boxing gyms. There's big ones you could pick, the ABC gym, white collar gyms. There's plenty of them, but we've got one MMA gym. So there's not many people pushing MMA in Worcester. I feel like this is what I want to do. I want to push it more, so more people want to do it, which I feel like I'm doing. But at the minute, like you saw, boxing's a bit superior to MMA, isn't it? I mean, everyone loves to get into boxing. Oh, I'm a boxer, I'm this. But people don't really want to put in the hard graft of being kicked in the legs, elbowed in the face, kneed in the body. Some people just like sitting behind your guard, playing a jab game, being able to move. MMA's hard, man, and I understand. I've been in the same situation. I've sat there, I've done boxing. I did 3 boxing fights. I went 3-0, and I was there I could do this. It's a lot easier. Get up in the morning, go do a run, hit the bag, get some pads, come back. Instead, I'll come into the gym, get wrestled up for 25 minutes by the best guys in the world, go home, be sore. But I mean, I'm not knocking boxers here, but it is a bit easier, isn't it? Boxing's just a slight bit easier, I feel like.
I was going to say, I'm sure you're going to trigger a few boxers now, but I think I get where you're coming from. It's one solo discipline, isn't it? And the thing with MMA is the wrestling, the kicking of the legs, the jiu-jitsu, the getting strangled, the striking. There's just so many more factors and elements. Respectfully, what boxers do to get to all the way to the top is, not even just boxers, any high-level elite sports person. I can respect, from having been there and done it and doing it, I can respect anybody, whether it be javelin or sprinters. It takes a severe amount of dedication, but I think what you're trying to say is MMA is just, it's tougher, isn't
100%.
it?
Well, it's like we were saying just then, boxing's just one thing. You go in, you're just learning boxing. Whereas what we've got to do, we've got to come in, got to wrestle. Then on the night, we're going to box. Then the next morning, we're going to spar. Then on the night, you're going to go lift weights. I mean, for boxing, you kind of get that run in your weights, and then you go hit your bag, pad, spar. But trying to learn everything, because you can't just be good at one thing nowadays. Like look at the UFC. People aren't just good at one thing anymore. Like you see Pereira, yeah, he's got real good striking, but I'm sure if he gets taken down, he's gonna be able to get back up. But that just shows the development of MMA at the moment.
Yeah, 100%. Going back to what you're saying about Worcester and trying to inspire MMA in Worcester, like cut 15 years down the line, you've achieved everything you want to achieve in MMA and you finished fighting. Would you like to set up your own gym eventually in Worcester, or would you like to move away from Worcester and live in America? Like, where's your path lie, or don't you think that far ahead? Or
well, I have thought that far ahead. I feel like I want to open a gym when it's all said and done, because this has been my life for going 16 years now, nearly 15 years. So I think when it's all said and done, I'm not going to be able to sit there and just be like, no, I'm not doing that no more. But I feel like I'm going to open a gym, hopefully inspire people to come to the gym. And I don't think I'll leave Worcester. I mean, I've lived there all my life. I've got family in America, which is all good in that, but it's nice to just go over, have a little break, visit them, and then come home back to reality, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Big prospect, not only in the MMA scene, but now signed exclusively to Cage Warriors. What was your Cage Warriors experience like, first time having fought on there? Did you fight on there as an amateur?
No.
First time on Cage Warriors,
yeah.
What was that experience like, and what have you got to say about them?
It was amazing. Cage Warriors, well, let's put it out, it's the biggest promotion in Europe, Cage Warriors is. And it's your pathway to the UFC. I'm not going to say that's what it is, because I want to become Cage Warriors champ. That's the goal at the moment. We've got to set little goals to make it to the main goal. So that's my goal at the minute. But yeah, it was amazing. I mean, I got put on the main card, my first professional fight, my first fight on Cage Warriors. So there's a bit of backing behind me, and it could have been my opponent as well. I mean, it was a swing fight at the end of the day. I feel like I won 3 rounds, but a lot of people said I won 2. But whoever won that fight was going to get that extra push, and I put the work in, I gritted down, and I got the win. Yeah.
No, credit to your opponent. He was very good. I do believe that he could have fought probably 60-70% of the lightweight roster and put up an amazing fight against them too. It was a great fight to watch as a friend, but as a fan as well. What's your, like you just mentioned there, short-term, mid-term, long-term goals? Well, you've already answered the question. Your goals to become Cage Warriors champion. Do you have anybody in mind for your next fight, or anybody that you would like to fight down the line?
Whoever wants it.
Whoever wants it. I feel like that's a very generic answer.
That is a generic answer, but
you're happy
feel like
to fight anybody.
I'm happy to fight anyone.
Yeah.
I'm ready to get in there now and just show everyone how much better I am than that last performance. I feel like it was a bit sloppy. I feel like a lot of people are going to watch that and think, he's not all that. He can't strike. His wrestling's not that good. But I feel like this next performance is going to be very big. And I don't have a name. I don't need a name. I feel like some people need me now because I'm getting this extra push.
Yeah. I love the confidence, mate. I love the confidence. How many fights would you like to have before you see yourself challenging whoever the champion may be in that time?
I think I get to about 5-0, 6-0, and I'll be ready for the bout. I feel like I'll be ready for the bout in like 3 fights. But I'd like to get that little bit of more experience in there. I got a big experience that last time. I feel like just a few more, and then I'll be able to go for that bout.
Yeah. And what's the long-term goal?
UFC champion. That's the ultimate goal. That's what is everyone's goal, isn't it?
To wrap up the podcast, I'm going to start asking this everyone except for the individual, if I can ever get him on here. If you used to fight Fabian Edwards, how would you beat him and why?
Well, at the minute, run around a bit. He's probably going to gas out. You said he was a bit fat, so that's probably the game plan.
Run around, gas him out, and then jump on his neck.
Yeah, then go. Just go.